So, as I've said numerous times by now, I think Dune Part 2 is a masterpiece, even though it took me 2 viewings to appreciate it. That being said, are there still things I would have liked to be different about it? Oh, absolutely. And I'm not talking about it being closer to the book. I no longer give a fuck about that. I think the changes they made to the film, in comparison to the book, were mostly either totally fine or straight up necessary. You know, it's not a coincidence that so many people in the past have said that Dune was unfilmable. That is completely true, although maybe the statement should be given a small addition, which is Dune is unfilmable if you try to portray everything by the book. And this rings ever truer now that the new films have absolutely proven that Dune can be a masterpiece on screen without following the damn book so closely. And also, and this is something I've said numerous times too, I don't think the Dune novels are completely perfect either, especially the first one, which is my least favorite of the 6, for previously mentioned reasons. So if you want to make a Dune film, and you want to change stuff from the books, as long as it doesn't harm the overall story, be my guest, I totally welcome it. So if it's not book changes in the film that I would have wanted to see done differently, then what is it? What is it that I would change in the film that in my opinion would make it even better? Well, and this might sound somewhat shallow, but bear with me. I wished that Dune Part 2, and Part 1 especially, was made to look weirder than it did. And what do I mean by looking weird? I mean it quite literally, actually. With Dune, we're talking like 10,000 years into the future, and for a story that takes place across such a vast ocean of time, it just looks kind of too similar to our current world. You know, excluding technology and whatever. I'm not talking about that. If you look at our real-life history and the way that, let's say, people and buildings and cities and art and how everything looked even just 300 to 500 years ago. It's such a monumental difference. And the world in the far future, looking as it did in the Dune films, I just don't see it that way. I think it looks too familiar. And that's not to say it's a mistake on the movie's part, because I think visually it matches the books pretty well. So it's not like Frank Herbert was a pro in predicting far future civilizational trends. And also, me saying it doesn't look quite right, that doesn't mean at all that I actually have an idea of how it should look. I don't fucking know either. But I can say with a clear conscience and confidence that I think the future, 10,000 years from now, will look very different. Firstly, from our own world now, and secondly, from the world as it looks in Dune. The buildings will look very different, vehicles will look very different, clothing will look very different, that is if we're still using clothes at all. Human bodies, I think, will probably look different due to changes in life expectancy and life conditions, etc. Art will most likely be nothing like it is today, because in the span of like 30,000 years, we have come from cave paintings to virtual reality. Imagine what we'll have in another 10,000. And so here comes the moment where I'll say something that might sound completely insane. This is the one, and I have to stress, the one and only aspect in which the Lynch Dune from '84 is superior to the new films. It just looks fucking weird. The settings, the costuming, the machines, everything looks peculiar, and I mean this in the positive sense. And that's not to say it looks realistic in terms of what the future will look like, far from it. But it just looks weird. And when I watch that film, even today, I have to shake myself off my everyday visual perceptions of the world around me. And one of the best ways in which art can affect a person is, in my opinion, to make the person do exactly that. Shake off and break your established thinking, your already solidified imaginings of everything in life. From the visuals, to the morals, to the level of scientific advancement. If the art you're looking at just reinforces what you already think or know about the world, then I kind of think you're wasting your time. It might be a good time, a pleasurable time, because who doesn't like to have his ego stroked by being reassured of his own views and opinions? But it is wasted time at the end of the day, because the only way of moving forward is, I think, constantly challenging and developing whatever you think it is that you know and experience about the world around you.